Hi guys, welcome to Signal Path. Today we are talking about the Particle 2 from Red Panda Labs. The Particle 2 is a granular delay, ambience, texture, glitch, crazy kind of chaos machine, all at the same time, and really any of those with just the turn of a knob. We're going to be looking through a few of the ways that I use the Particle 2 and all of the modes that are available, which are all related. They all do similar things and in similar ways, but get you to the core of this idea of granular delay and really useful, streamlined methods. One thing that I love about the Particle 2 is that it is sort of a great first step into granular delay and granular processing. But it is something that also covers incredible delay territory. And if you're looking for something that covers a lot of ground, if you're wondering if this can cover traditional delay sounds, absolutely. But it is so much more than that. It has great pitch sounds. It has great reverse and kind of randomized ambience sounds. And often I find myself, when I'm looking for something to complement a reverb or just bring like that delay element into things, where I don't necessarily want something that is a very traditional delay sound, the Particle 2 is right there and it's ready and it excels at those kinds of tones. It's something that I think the freeze functionality and the ability to hold a sound and a grain and play underneath it and kind of create these morphing textures and almost this duet with yourself via these kind of captured grains of sound is one of the most sort of creatively satisfying and just kind of delightful musical experiences I think you can have with a pedal board. Expect to see this on looping and ambient compositions from the channel, for a long time, because this is something that I'm still discovering uses for. I think that there is a degree to which that I feel like I'm very much a student of this pedal still. But we're going to go through it. We're going to go through the different parameters and different uses. I should mention there is an incredible web editor. They have one of the absolute best systems for kind of laptop or desktop editing, where you plug in on the back port of these pedals, of the current kind of versions of Red Panda pedals, and all you have to do is pop open a website. All of your parameters are laid out. We're going to basically just talk about what is possible controlling from the front panel, because I think that's really enough to keep us going for a while. But there is so much more, and there's an incredible amount of depth available. If you're looking for something that does some really deep processing as a granular delay, this has a lot going for it beyond just what you see on the surface. But we're going to stick to the surface because there is plenty there alone. So let's dive into it. All right, let's listen to the Particle 2. I'm playing my Sir Alt-T Pro through the Squish As and Lightspeed Overdrive into the Particle. Sounds like this. So let's take this part by part, and really I guess we should start with the first mode to really get a feel for what's going on here. The first mode is delay plus density. In this mode, we get really one of the most essential approaches to granular delay, where we're able to basically control the density and the spread of the granules that are serving as our delay. By changing the chop up, we get kind of shorter granules. Creates this kind of shivering stuttering effect. Parameter controls our grain density. By reducing that density, that's how we kind of introduce those stuttering gaps. And so if you're kind of thinking this is not necessarily the guiding principle here, but chop is almost like duty cycle and the parameter mode is almost like a rate. If you're kind of thinking about like a square wave. If we increase chop, the kind of overall length of those sections that are being caught as granules increases a little bit. Obviously, we have blend and feedback as well. If we increase that feedback a little bit, we get these really cool kind of textures that we can create. If we increase into the freeze area of the chop knob, it starts to catch individual granules in this kind of infinite loop. So we can use this to kind of freeze a drone, and if we add some reverb and maybe an extra delay on top, it sounds a little bit like this. Really, really cool for creating big kind of pad-like ambient textures. But a real simple use for this would be to kind of create a sample by kind of setting the threshold here. And that LED will tell you when you've caught something. And by increasing that freeze level, you're basically increasing the threshold. So I'm able to play underneath what's been frozen as kind of an additional voice. When I'm tired of that chord, just hit another one with kind of some strength. Create kind of a couple of competing textures in sort of an ambient or, otherwise sort of spaced out arrangement. The second mode is delay plus LFO. In this mode, delay sets sort of the maximum delay time. Parameter sets the compression or stretch amount of time. You can create some pretty broken sounds here. Almost feels like in this mode it wants to be a reverb, but it just can't quite get there. With the param set a little bit lower, it's stretching those grains out. This sounds beautiful on its own, but when we bring in that reverb again, I think it's a great moment to say the particle really is there for you when you want some of those classic delay plus reverb sounds. But it gives you that delay component of that classic combo in a way that is so unique and different from really any traditional delay sound while still covering the bases. It feels like it's always morphing and changing, especially in this mode. It's something that really subverts your expectations in ways that are really pleasing without feeling like it has to be the shining star. It's something that can be, and if you max out and make really extreme settings in any of these modes, you'll get really crazy results. But it's kind of a rare thing to see in, I think, in spacey, chaotic pedals like this, the sense of restraint and the ability to inherently bend it to kind of what you were looking to accomplish. And for me, often it's something that's simple. It's not necessarily super out loud. It's just subtle movement and changes and things that are a little bit different than the way you've heard them done different, like in other places. Really, really beautiful. Next up is the delay plus reverse mode, and this may be my favorite. I am such a sucker for reverse sounds, but essentially you get that granular delay sound, but the parameter knob here does something really interesting, and that gives you not just kind of forward, backwards, but it gives you control over probabilities. So if we go kind of halfway up, I'll play like a little two-note phrase. You can hear it playing backwards and forwards, and that's because the probability is roughly 50-50 that the grain plays forwards or backwards. This kind of creates this really beautiful multi-layered feeling and sound that is really, really fun and really kind of fun for those weird sort of spacey ideas and sounds. As we increase the param, we increase the probability up to 100% reverse. And so there's the full spectrum there. And so if you want, what you can do is you can kind of sort of find a place that feels like a pretty conventional delay. Where it just throws in a couple of reverses here and there. Feels like it just kind of creates just enough movement and variation that it's really interesting. And you can do the same thing the other direction. Where it feels like a reverse and a really great reverse at that, but the variable forward kind of play gives you sort of a foothold in the mix of everything you're playing to stand on and find a way to touch bottom. It should be noted that for almost all of these modes, the chop control kind of creates some stuttery, glitchy effects in some of the lower settings. Freeze mode in reverse creates these really beautiful kind of sawtooth sounds. And of course I gotta show it with reverb. Super fun. Next up we have delay plus pitch, and this sort of is one of the first one that really substantially changes the controls that we're working with. In this mode, chop is controlling how often the pitch changes, so if we turn this down, a little bit more frequently. If we turn this up, is giving kind of an overall sort of pitch jump range. So if we turn this down, it sounds like this. Super fun. Next we have the delay randomization mode, and in this mode, parameter sets basically overall randomization range. Chop sort of determines how often the delay is changed, and delay is going to still kind of determine our overall delay range. This is really nice for loading in kind of a number of notes and increasing that feedback. With some reverb. So there's a lot available in there, from really beautiful and kind of stuttering ambient to crazy chaotic glitch sounds as well. All right, and let's take a look at the pitch modes. We'll start with Detune, which sounds a little bit like this. So as you bring up the param, it kind of starts to create that chorusing sound. As you kind of bring up that chop, a little bit smoother, down a little bit glitchier. But the real magic is when we move this knob around. We can now kind of free pitch all of our delay sounds. We have access to an octave down through an octave up. Which gets pretty wild pretty quickly. loud. Jumping over to the LFO mode. In the LFO mode, the chop controls basically kind of the how stepped the overall pitch jumping is. Higher chop sounds kind of make it seem a little bit more granular. The pitch range is selected by the parameter. Good way to kind of create some randomized synth sounds, and we have control over this with the pitch knob as well. Kind of creates a falling sensation as you're playing in something like this. Finally, we have the density mode. The density mode parameter and chop are interactive. They both kind of control overall density and length of the grains. And so, of all the pitch modes, this is maybe, in my mind, one of the more conventional. We go long on chop. You can hear what the param's doing here. It's kind of bringing in that stuttering. If we go higher, it kind of is more consistent and covers sort of the whole spectrum of time. And if we bring this back down on the chop side, a little bit glitchier, but the param kind of keeps it smooth and covered. And then both down, it gets kind of, a little bit more stuttery. We have access to all kinds of pitches in here as well. I'm someone who tends to stick to octave up and down. But it's kind of cool that you can kind of hold a sound